All right, we've got some breaking news. Special counsel David Weiss tells U.S. District Judge Mariel Noriega he plans to indict Hunter Biden. That's in Delaware, Wilmington. Joining me now to talk about this and a few other things, we welcome back James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Chairman Comer, thank you for helping us out. I don't know, do you have any particular reaction to this news that he's going to indict Hunter Biden? I don't even know what it means, but what do you think it means, sir?
Well, it's obvious Hunter Biden's committed about a dozen crimes. That was in the correspondence we sent to the judge, and she started rattling off the first two. The most obvious are the violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act and simple tax evasion. And the two IRS whistleblowers in their committee hearing testified to the numerous counts of tax evasion. So I'm not surprised that he should be indicted. Now, I'm proceeding with caution with David Weiss, but I'll say this. This is an opportunity for David Weiss to clear his good name. This is an opportunity for him to do the right thing. I mean, it's obvious. I've said from day one that investigating the Bidens is like tracking a bleeding bear through a snowstorm. There's evidence everywhere. So this is the obvious thing that a special counsel should do, and let's see how it plays out.
Well, this one, Mr. Chairman, is, as you know, this is on the narrow charge, the felony charge of lying on a federal form when purchasing a firearm. The other things you mentioned, don't seem to be included in any of this. So
of course,
I don't, you know, look, maybe Weiss is going straight, as you say, he's going to redeem himself. But I don't know. This just seems like, to me, small beer. Okay, but I'm not and I'm not the lawyer. But I want to ask you. Look, I know you're trying to subpoena, or you have issued a subpoena, to get hold of all these emails from the National Archives. Now, there's if my memory serves me, there's 5,400 emails with the aliases that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden used. But that's just there's a lot more emails between the two of them, all of which suggest that Papa was very deeply involved as vice president in the son's dealings. Now, tell us, where do you stand on these subpoenas from the National Archives?
Well, the archives is saying that because it happened during the Obama administration, that Barack Obama will have 30 days to review all 5,400 of these emails in the pseudonyms. And then he will decide whether or not he's going to turn it over to the House Oversight Committee. So your guess is as good as mine. But at the end of the day, we believe that many of these that were using the pseudonyms also had redactions that pertain to things about Hunter Biden, even redacting the fact that he was copied on these. So what Joe Biden's always said, and the mainstream media has always gone along with, is that, well, there was no, why are you investigating Hunter Biden? He wasn't a part of the government, and Joe Biden had a firewall between the government and his son. That's not true. We've proven that in the last 2 weeks. There are emails that went back and forth where Hunter's legal team was telling Joe Biden how to spin the narrative about the corruption he got caught in. There was copies where he was copied about Ukraine foreign policy. And we believe there are many more emails that the National Archives is sitting on.
So you want to get your paws on these emails. I get that. Now, I'm not the lawyer, but Jonathan Turley, who's a Fox contributor and a pretty good lawyer, constitutional lawyer.
Very good.
His point, Mr. Chairman, was that if you go into an impeachment inquiry, that would give you greater authority to execute these subpoenas and get your hands on the emails. Now, what you think of that, and what you think about the impeachment inquiry as an important weapon here?
I agree with Jonathan Turley. He's a terrific attorney, and I believe he's exactly right. And that's why Speaker McCarthy, I believe, in a few weeks will put this up for a vote among our conference, and I believe it'll pass. I believe even the moderates and the handful of skeptics have seen that Joe Biden's just lied too many times about his knowledge and involvement in his family's shady business schemes. Look, this is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, political scandal of my adult lifetime. We've got a president that was selling access to some bad people in some bad countries around the world. He's lied about it, and the government has been involved in a cover-up and obstructing this investigation. So these emails where Joe Biden was using an alias, a pseudonym, a fake name, and he was copying his son, and he was coordinating with his son's legal team about spinning false narratives to the American people, should be concerning to everyone. And we should do an impeachment inquiry and have every tool at our disposal to get the truth to the American people.
All right, terrific stuff. Just another couple things, sir. First of all, who tipped off Hunter Biden? This is this weird story. The IRS wanted to question Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is in his father's house. Now, I'm not sure what house that was, but he was in the house. I think it was the vice president's residence. Somebody tipped off Hunter Biden, and Hunter Biden stayed in the house, and there was Secret Service, I guess, and so the IRS agents could not question him. I mean, it's like he was holding out. He was on the lam. Now, unlike, why didn't they have a warrant that allowed him to go in? Or, look at what they did to Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, for heaven's sakes. In other words, who tipped him off, and how is this possible? I mean, I could just see Hunter Biden huddled in the TV room, and then no one's going to be able to find the guy. But actually, this is a serious business. What do you know about that? I know you're subpoenaing people, but where are you going to go on this one, Mr. Chairman?
We were working closely with the Secret Service to identify the person or people who tipped off the Secret Service, who tipped off the Biden lawyers, who tipped off the Biden transition team. This was at the end of the Trump administration when this happened. We were working with the Secret Service. They said they had answers to all of our questions. And then, according to our source at the Secret Service, Mayorkas called and said, do not, under any circumstances, cooperate with the House Oversight Committee or Chairman Comer. So that's where the subpoena was born. We want to know who exactly tipped these people off, because we want to hold people accountable. Look, there's the crime that we're investigating, and there's also the cover-up. And we want people to be held accountable in our government for covering up the Biden corruption.
Last one, Mr. Chairman. The matter of the, 17 audio tapes between the head of Burisma and Papa Biden and Hunter Biden, which was a straight extortion, bribery scheme. Actually, the rumor was, or the talk was, that it was Papa Biden who told Burisma, you got to pay me $5 million and my son $5 million. But leaving all that speculation aside, can you help us out? Is there any new news on the audio tapes, which, of course, could be so important in any trial or deliberation?
I don't have any new news on the audio tapes. I know this: the FBI never tried to obtain those tapes. They just tried to bury this under the rug. So the cover-up with respect to protecting the Bidens has been ongoing for many years, and it spanned numerous administrations, unfortunately. But now is the time. We are on a trail. We've been able to identify the fact that this FBI form existed, that the potential for these tapes was out there. This is consistent with what we found in Romania, where Joe Biden's family was receiving money through various bank accounts. That's what's alleged in this FBI form. This was years before anybody knew about all the shell companies and all the money laundering and all the bank accounts. So this is very credible information from a credible source, but I don't have anything new to report about the
So the FBI is stonewalling you. The Justice Department's stonewalling you. I don't know, Mayorkas is stonewalling you. That's a new one. You need this impeachment inquiry. That give you greater authority. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, Mr. Chairman, my last point. I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to break through. This is college football season. How the quarterback or the running back can break through the line, and go 30 or 40 yards into the end zone. What can you tell us on that? What's your plan? What's your strategy as you reconvene?
We're going to court. We believe the impeachment inquiry will help us, along with the other evidence in the case that we've built. We need these emails to the pseudonyms. We need the non-redacted version. We also need access to about 2 to 4 more bank accounts that we believe will implicate Joe Biden, as well as the emails that we believe will show an extensive coordination between the Biden shady business schemes and Joe Biden.
Yes, sir. Chairman Jimmy Comer, we appreciate your time. Best of luck. Hopefully we'll talk soon.